So Uxmal is interesting. It's a bit different to the other sites. It's well worth a visit. So we're heading into the ball court. We're going to walk through the ball court here at Uxmal. It's a big one. It's not as big as the one at Chichen Itza, but it's pretty big. So the ruler, you actually see the hoop there as well. So the ruler who led Uxmal to its greatest expansion was Chak Ak and Awa Chan. Now that's not pronounced correctly. And he was the one who ordered the construction of the ball court, which we can see here. This is during the late 9th or early 10th century. And possibly the losers were decapitated, maybe the winners, that's what some suggestions say, and they used a rubber ball which was created and invented by, you guess, it's the Olmecs. And so even the Olmec influence reaches Uxmal. We've got megalithic blocks on the edge here. I'm looking at this side. This is slightly better condition, although it's not in the sun, unfortunately. You can just see the other side over here. So this is an important, not just a fun part of their culture, playing football or the ball game, but ceremonial as well. You can see what looks like along the base here, almost like a serpent, a plumed serpent, going all the way across, as well as the great hoop where the ball would go through itself. So this serpent along the bottom here is really interesting. So there's the hoop, and you can see that there. So before we leave the ball court, actually this length of what looks like a serpent maybe goes up to this serpent's head at the top. It would join up at the top and then it would go along the bottom here. There could be a lot of symbolism encoded just within that idea. And also on these blocks here we actually have what looks like the plumed serpent literally carved on these. You can see it, the way it kind of moves around each other. That is impressive. So this probably would have gone along the main part of the ball court. So we have this serpent symbolism associated with this great sacred game of the Maya. Just around this side of the ball court, I've actually got a megalithic block making up the cornerstone here. So we're now heading over to the southern part of the site. And yeah, this is really interesting. These are megalithic blocks again. They are pretty damn big actually. Look at this. So just at the base here, all along here, they're pretty large blocks. They're at least like half a ton to a ton each. And curved ones on the corner. We saw some of these going upwards at the nunnery. Interesting. So we've got some kind of cave entrance under here as well. And then we've got larger blocks up the side there. So we're seeing some impressive parts of this site. And what I'm noticing here is a lot of serpent symbolism. The Tlaloc connection, possibly connecting it with giants. I know that sounds crazy. But we've got the dwarf story as well, and they're often associated with giants. We've also got megalithic blocks here, which I didn't expect. I saw a couple when I was here, my last few visits. But I've been specifically looking for them on this visit and finding them. So whether they were part of an earlier temple created by potentially the earlier megalithic building culture who built Uxmal and Aki and a couple of other sites, I don't know, but more investigation needs to be done. But there's more and more connections with Quinametsin giants, Tlaloc for instance, and Quetzalcoatl, who we know were the master builders. So we're towards the southern end of the site and there's so much going on here. Look at this, you've got like a pyramid structure here. In the trees here, I'll get out of the trees so we can see more clearly. So this is the Great Temple of the Great Pyramid. Now it measures 80 meters long on its north side and is about 30 meters or 100 feet in height. It's a truncated square pyramid, so it's slightly off being perfectly square. As sculptures of macaws and the corner figureheads, they have kind of round carvings on them. They're not even sure what they are. But this is, some people call it the Temple of the Macaws. But you can see the way the step pyramid part of it kind of goes up on the side. Then you've got the main steps there. So yeah, this is not just the Great Pyramid, it's the Great Temple of the Great Pyramid, they call it. So you're at the very, well, not at the very base, but one of the second base up. You can just see all the steps kind of leading up there. Absolutely beautiful. And it looks like there could be underground elements here. Look, they've got an entrance in. But yeah, this is cool. You can't go up it at the moment. I don't think you can anyway, really. But we'll keep looking around. We'll get around the other side of this mega structure here. But yeah, it's good to get up close to this. I'll let you see the other side of it here. And it kind of joins up to another building. So it's all connected. But yeah, again, major construction project, all of this site. This is the Temple of the Turtles. And you can see the turtles, or tortugas, going all the way across the top there. That's pretty beautiful. It's got an interior as well. And these columns, these sort of fake columns. You can see those turtles. Absolutely stunning. Pyramid of the Magician, or the Dwarf. You've got the nunnery in the background. You've got the ball court down below. That is absolutely amazing. So we have mainly Puk style of architecture here. Now, there's also elements of other styles here, but the Puk style is kind of simpler, although it's very geometric, with a lot of mosaics and 3D kind of balancing between the blocks. Now, this is absolutely stunning. It's probably the most stunning style you can find in Mexico, that kind of style. But it does have other elements as well. It's almost like a Teotihuacan style as well. So we'll keep looking around. There's a lot going on here. So this is the Governor's Palace. It lies on a platform 8 to 12 meters high. It's 187 meters wide by 170 meters on the other side. It's 3 sections all the way across, separated by very tall transversal vaults. The facade is just got some of the most beautiful carvings on it. We'll get as close as we can to that with the god Chark on this one, not so much Tlaloc. Now this dates to 900 to 1000 AD. So let's get in there and have a look. Now, I can't actually climb up it, but you can see some of the details, the kind of throne figure with the kind of serpents coming off either side, much like we saw in the quadrangle of the nunneries. You can see that in the center there. And you've got all the other kind of spirals and crosses. Now these crosses could represent, we must remember, Quetzalcoatl as well. And so we have all sorts of symbolism here, but this is probably a bit later because it represents Chark rather than Tlaloc. Tlaloc is like the earlier phase of the kind of rain god. And it's a pretty impressive structure. But this stone here is the one that gets me, because this, not only is it associated with this, but I think this was raised up, it was lower, it was ground level, it was a monolith marking the sacredness and the geomantic kind of axis mundi point, not of just of this site, but of potentially this whole part of Mexico. Could even been a marker put down by Quetzalcoatl, could have been a marker put down by the Olmecs, who I believe were in cahoots with each other. And so I just find this absolutely fascinating that it's here. It's just unexpected. This is like the sort of key part of the site to me, one of the most important parts of the site. I mean, it's made of limestone, so it's weathered. You can see that here. I'll just get close up so you can kind of see it in detail. Down here you can see where it's been sort of damaged. That I thought was a drill hole originally, but it's not. It's just like been naturally carved out. This isn't dissimilar to something you find in Olmec land. So this is interesting because this is actually called the Axis Mundi, the omphalos. This is like the sacred stone. It's very similar in shape to the one at Delphi. It's almost egg oval shaped as well. And so it had stucco and symbolism carved all over it. What was on that, we don't know. But I question if this is the same principle as the one in Delphi, where all surveys, measurements, and other geodetic and geomantic kind of principles were at play, and then spread out from here. And this could have even been here first. Could have been the first thing here at the site, this giant megalith marking this sacred spot, this geomantic spot here in this part of Mexico. And it's almost like some of the structures, some of the statues we find in Olmec land. That's what's really interesting to me. We find megalithic pillars marking the center of the site. We have a similar one in the in the plaza of the Moon Pyramid at Teotihuacan, which later became a Tlaloc statue. So could this even been a Tlaloc statue? And it was the Quinametsin giants, who he was the leader of, that actually were first here at this location, which later became sacred because of this, and spread from there, and then the Mayans built on top of this. If we have a look over here as well, there's more structures that are yet to be fully excavated. Of course, we have this double-headed kind of feline figure, which we're going to just have a quick word about. And this is the throne, what's called the throne of the jaguar. 903 pieces of offerings were found in 1951-52 when they were doing excavation, including beads, pectorals, jade earrings, earthenware, cornalline, polished black stone, spearheads, and flint and obsidian knives. So they think it was part of the ceremonial aspect of this site. But what's interesting is that this double-headed jaguar and the jaguar motif, where did that begin? That began in Olmec land. And so is this actually more evidence, including the large stone in the background there, that this was certainly, this location at least, was influenced by the Olmecs, and this was actually like revering them by placing the monolith in its probably its original position, and also placing this here to honor the earlier culture. We know the Toltecs also had this as well, but also the early Mayans had double-headed jaguars. And so this is really interesting to me. We're finding all this kind of megalithic symbolism here at Uxmal. But anyway, we're just finishing our visit here at Uxmal. I'm just relaxing near the entrance or the exit. It's hardly anyone here. It's like 4 o'clock now in the afternoon. It kind of closes now. You have to be out by 5. And we've seen some megalithic aspects, this Axis Mundi stone. We've seen Quetzalcoatl, even Tlaloc, one of the Quinametsin giants. There's a lot going on here at Uxmal, a lot more than meets the eye. The whole story of the dwarf has much more meaning than people realize. And I believe that proves this earlier phase where these early traditions of large stone moving comes from, and even the laying down of the sakbis, because there's one here between here and Kaaba, and this is actually what the dwarf was supposed to have laid this himself, even though he got the king to lay the first stone for him, and then magically he did the rest using the whistling technique. So thanks for watching Megalithomaniacs. There's so much going on here at Uxmal. It's a huge site, and do check out our other videos from Mexico, from Maya lands, from the Olmecs, and we'll see you next time.